What's going on, everybody? I hope you're enjoying your Thursday afternoon / evening. This is MYG Jeffy T 85 here, and I'm bringing you some of my reactions, some news, notes, and what I think about the Brooklyn Nets after the conclusion of this NBA trade deadline. And first off, like I mentioned on the live stream just a couple of minutes ago, shout out to Coach Ed Gladney, Mitch Kofsky, Blazed Radio, Next Shift Randy, Nikki Stees, for all popping on the live stream throughout that 6+ hour live stream that we did earlier. Thank you all and appreciate all the support that you've given myself and everybody in the New York Giants community. Now, in terms of the Brooklyn Nets, so, the Brooklyn Nets now, they're done with the trade deadline. The Nets right now have 16 current players on their active roster. Obviously with the couple of trades they made. So, the Nets ended up today. Nets made a couple of big trades, but the biggest trade that they made today was the Nets officially made a trade where they sent Jay Crowder in a 3-team trade. Jay Crowder was traded to the Jay Crowder was traded to the Milwaukee Bucks, my apologies. Traded to the Milwaukee Bucks in exchange in a 3-way deal. Jordan Nwarma and Serge Ibaka were traded from the Bucks to the Pacers. Pacers also got 2 second-round picks, and the Nets acquired. Now, I don't know about the draft compensation. There's different reports going around that the Nets might have acquired 5 draft picks, and there's some reports going out there the Nets have acquired 3 second-round draft picks. So I don't know if that's which is true or not. So they're pretty much trying to restore all the draft capital that they lost during the trade of James Harden. That's what the Nets are trying to do right now, is restore all that draft capital they lost during the James Harden trade. So, we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen. But either way, this Nets team now, you look at the Nets' current roster. They have 16 players now on this team. 16. I'm trying to pull up the roster as we speak right now at the moment. So, the Nets right now, they're very guard heavy. That's the thing about the Brooklyn Nets. They're a very guard heavy basketball team right now. Very, very guard heavy. Right now, the Nets' current roster is as followed: Nick Claxton, Seth Curry, Spencer Dinwiddie, David Duke Jr., Kevin Durant. I'm sorry, Durant's gone. Dorian Finney-Smith, Joe Harris, Patty Mills, Royce O'Neal, Day'Ron Sharpe, Ben Simmons, Drew Smith, Edmund Sumner, Cam Thomas, Yuta Watanabe, Cam Johnson, and Mikal Bridges. Those are on the team right now. Players that are not here: Markieff Morris is gone, Kyrie Irving is gone, TJ Warren is gone, Kevin Durant is gone. The Nets have a good mix of players right now. So right now, I'm just gonna I'm gonna look at some of the contracts as well. But in terms of the Nets and where this team might be going into this offseason, we'll have to wait and see. The Nets right now are a lot of players. They have a lot of players right now that are gonna be here at least until 2024. The only player that I believe is gonna be on an expiring deal in 2023 is Seth Curry. I believe he's the only one. And that's the one thing that I would have thought that Sean Marks would have done, is trade Seth Curry at the trade deadline. There were second-round picks flying all over the place. I don't know why the Nets didn't think about trading Seth Curry, because he's probably not going to be on the team next year unless he really likes it here in Brooklyn and he wants to be part of this team going forward. There's a good chance that Seth Curry will not be here after this year. But right now, the Nets are very, very, very wing heavy. Very wing heavy going to this year. So, The question is now with the Nets, and they got a lot of players that are wings. A lot. They only have really 3 players on the roster out of the 16 on this team that are considered front court players solely. That's Dorian Finney-Smith, Nicholas Claxton, and De'Ron Sharp. That's it. They have a lot of shooting guards. They have a lot of small forwards. Some point guards on the team. No front court players. I expect the Nets to be hot and heavy in the buyout market to see if they can try to find somebody that can come in and help restore this roster in terms of the buyouts. But in terms of the makeup of this roster, I will say this. While the Nets don't have any superstars on this roster, they don't. There's no superstars on this team. Nobody can mistake in that. But you look at the roster on this team right now, you have a lot of players that are good, young, talented players on this team. A lot. A lot of players. You have a couple of guys that are on two-way deals, David Duke Jr. and Drew Smith, who actually played pretty decent in the last game against the Suns. You have a young core now. You could argue a young core of Edmund Sumner, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Ben Simmons, Nicholas Claxton, De'Ron Sharp. 6 young players you could potentially build around on this team if you want to keep them all. And a good amount of veterans. Joe Harris, Seth Curry, Royce O'Neal, Yuta Watanabe, Spencer Dinwiddie, Patty Mills, Dorian Finney-Smith. Got a lot of veterans on this team. The Nets are still 5th right now in the Eastern Conference, right now as we speak. So it is no reason to think that this Nets team is just going to close up shop and just not be competitive. But either way, the Nets now, they have a ton of draft picks. A lot. The Nets have a ton of draft picks now going forward. A lot. Just to update it right now with the Brooklyn Nets. Just seeing. The Nets now, because of the trades that they made, the Nets now have 5 future first-round picks they acquired. 1 for Kyrie Irving in 2029. 4 when the Kevin Durant trade. 2023, 2025, 2027, 2029. All unprotected, though. So they have 5 draft picks that they got for the Brooklyn Nets. Just 5 first-round picks. Second-round picks, they got 2 in the Kyrie Irving trade, 2027 and 2029. And they didn't get any in the Durant trade. They got a pick swap in the Durant trade. And then the Jay Crowder trade they just made today. Like I said, I don't know the true compensation. There's been different reports all over the place. Somebody said there was 2. Somebody said there was 3. And another person said the Nets had 5 second-round picks. I believe it's 2023, 2025, 2027, 2029, 2031 in the second round. If it's 5, then it would be probably that. The Nets are stacking up draft picks now. So, in terms of the Nets, as a fan right now, I'm a mixed bag. I'm a mixed bag on the owner. More unhappy about the ownership than I am happy. I'm a mixed bag about the general manager because while I thought he did a horrendous job handling this Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving situation, at the same time, I'm very happy with what he did today because he took a guy in Jay Crowder and he was able to maximize the amount of draft capital for a guy like Jay Crowder, who is a good player, good defensive player, 3-point shooter, but he's not where the Nets were able to get around 3 to 5 first-round picks. To me, that was a tremendous job by Brooklyn. So right now it's saying the Brooklyn Nets receives 3 second-round picks. 3. The Nets are in a very good position going forward. I will say that. We could have gotten more. But right now, the Brooklyn Nets are in a very good position going forward into the NBA season. And going into beyond. The Nets only have 3 players on their roster right now that are 30 years or older. Seth Curry, Patty Mills, and Joe Harris. Otherwise this Nets team has draft picks all over the place. The Brooklyn Nets now have a lot of draft capital after 2024. A lot to play with going forward into the future. So, in terms of the makeup of the team right now, there's 4 players I can say at the moment, 4 players that I believe the Nets could build around in the future on this current roster. Cam Thomas, Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, and Nicholas Claxton. To me, those 4 are the future of this team. Those guys, to me, are the future of this basketball team. So right now, you have a bunch of draft capital, you got a good amount of veterans, and you're 5th place in the East. It's not like the Nets are just absolutely a dismal franchise right now after this trade. The Nets are still 5th place in the Eastern Conference with a good amount of young talent. And the one thing the Nets might not have stars, superstars, but they have depth. This team has strong depth on this roster, even stronger than they did before. Because they already were pretty deep to begin with. Obviously losing Durant and Irving hurts, and a couple of good depth players like TJ Warren and Markieff Morris. But you picked up Dorian Finney-Smith, Spencer Dinwiddie, Cam Johnson, and Mikal Bridges. All 4 quality players. 2 of them young emerging players from Phoenix. And 2 very good veterans on this team. So the Nets are going to be able to rotate a lot of players now going forward. And keep everybody fresh. I'm really curious to see how Jacques Vaughn is going to put this roster together going into the rest of this NBA season and potentially the playoffs, unless this team just completely falls off its realm. Like I said, look at the players on this team. Cam Thomas, to me, is the star of this team now. Cam Thomas is the guy you want to build around. He is now the unquestioned number 1 scorer on this team. Nicholas Claxton is the other guy. They're, to me, the 2 homegrown players. They're the 2 best players on this team. Claxton and Thomas. You add Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges. You still have Edmund Sumner, who I like. You still have Yuta Watanabe. You have Ben Simmons. You have Seth Curry, Joe Harris, Royce O'Neal, Patty Mills, Day'Ron Sharpe, another good young player. You still got players on this team. I just want to see how they're all going to mesh together. That's the thing, is how is this team going to mesh together? What is everybody's role going to be? But this team has got talent still. Not superstar talent, but this team has got talent. And to be honest, if you're a Nets fan, I get why you'd be frustrated, because I am frustrated in a way with how things turned out. But at the same time, this Nets team has got potential to still be a pretty good team going into the future. They're not winning a championship unless things just amazingly break their way. But this team is not just going to be a team that is just going to be tossed aside and be garbage. They're not. This team's got talent. The question is, what are the Nets going to do heading into the offseason? Are they going to go star hunting again? You already tried this crap twice. The Nets are going to live in infamy as a basketball team that not only failed once, but twice with big threes. Are you going to do it again? Are you going to go for it again? To me, build on the foundation of this basketball team. Build on the foundation. You got a good core of young players and veterans. See how it turns out the rest of the season. Whatever happens, happens. And we go into 2023, 2024. And try to build on this team going forward. Draft picks, get in some draft capital, draft picks, get them into the fold. Jacques Vaughn, to me, he's a great coach. I like Jacques Vaughn a lot. I think he's the right man for this job. Give him an extension after the season. This guy should be the head coach going forward. And you try to bring in your players going forward on this basketball team. So, either way, the Nets made a few big trades at this trade deadline. Kyrie Irving, Markieff Morris, they're gone. Kevin Durant, TJ Warren, they're gone. Jay Crowder, we hardly knew you. You were here for literally not even like 12 hours. You're gone. Let's see what the Nets do in the buyout market. Let's see what the Nets do in terms of how they're going to put their roster together. Who's going to play, how many minutes, matchups, stuff like that. The Nets, to me, still need some bigs. But either way, this Nets team, they did what they had to do, and it's really not as bleak as many people think it is. The Nets are not in a bleak situation like they were before. I'm just curious to see what this team is going to do heading into the rest of the season. And by the way, in the span of 5 days, according to Bobby Marks, the Nets have saved close to $100 million in luxury tax penalties. You don't think Joe Tsai was thinking about that one? You don't think the owner was thinking about that one? When the Nets started this weekend, they had $108 million in penalties. They dropped that down to almost $8 million by getting rid of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. So, just to recap this entire trade deadline for myself as a Nets fan. It has been exhausting. It has been a tumultuous 4 years. James Harden, Ben Simmons, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, coaches fired, drama offseason, injuries, trade requests, trade, demands, all this stuff. It's a new era now in Brooklyn Nets basketball. The Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, James Harden era is dead. It's over with. It's done. This is a new era now with good young players in Cam Thomas, Day'Ron Sharpe, Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, Nicholas Claxton, and you got some good veterans on this team. I'm not expecting a championship, but I'm expecting this Nets team to go out there and compete in the Eastern Conference. So we'll wait and see what's going to happen. Either way, thank you all for coming by the live stream earlier. And let me know in the comment section, as a Nets fan or opposing fans, what you thought about what the Nets did at the trade deadline and just the trades in general, and what you're thinking about this Nets team going into the future. I'd love to hear everybody's opinions on this. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your Thursday. Take it easy, and I say this proudly. Let's go, Brooklyn Nets. It's a Nets world, and we're all just living in it.